One of the things that I feel about NABA going to the next step is I think we need to get our culture more involved, and we need to get more involved with corporate America, getting more input into our organization so we start thinking together instead of apart, so we can further NABA and get more corporations into it and other Native Americans come in and see what we're doing. This is an organization about us Native Americans. It's not Lee Pepin's organization. It's not NABA's organization. It's about Native Americans, what we can do for one another, how we can get all our Native Americans ready for the 21st century.
I want to talk about the lessons that Indian country is teaching the world. What's working and what's not working in Indian country to rebuild Native nations, Native economies, to improve the lives of Native people. What I want to say today starts in Kenya. A Maasai warrior from Kenya. His name is Joseph Lekkerton. Joseph is now a member of Parliament in Kenya. A country of tremendous disunion at the moment, as you may read in the newspaper. He's in Washington, D.C. on a trip, and the phone rings in my pocket. Joe, what was the name of that tribe that was doing such a great job managing wildlife? When I said, oh, that's probably Hikaria you're remembering. They have the best wildlife management program in North America. Not the best Indian wildlife management program, the best wildlife management program. The on-the-ground military commander in Afghanistan. And they go Googling on the internet and up pops the state of the Native nations about the renaissance and resurgence that is occurring across Indian America, led by people like yourselves, building your businesses, building your lives, contributing to your communities, not for Indian country, but from Indian country, because there are tremendous lessons being taught. Let me just tell you a couple of stories that catch the eyes of the on-the-ground military commander in Afghanistan who's told to build a nation, and there's no economy in Afghanistan. Winnebago of Nebraska, 1995, Winnebago of Nebraska has a small business, essentially prefab housing, $400,000 a year in revenues and about $60,000 a year in losses. And this year they'll do about $150 million in business. And from 1995 to 2000, the unemployment rate was taken down from 70% to 13%. And by 2005, every Winnebago who wanted a job had a job. They run a conglomerate of businesses. Crow Tribe of Montana, the third largest owner of coal in the world after the federal government of the United States and the federal government of Australia. Coal, natural gas, oil, the largest contiguous wheat fields in the world. Timber, the richest grazing grass in terms of its protein in the world. All the resources in the world. The highest rates of educational attainment among the Northern Plains tribes, and about 70% unemployment, simmering political violence, suicide rates that are several times the national average, a desperate place. Third largest owner of coal in the world, the one coal mine there, run by a non-Indian company, employed one half of a full-time Crow employee. Third largest owner in coal in the world and is creating half a job.
I'd like to speak to the Native American people. I think we've got to get over this territorial thing. We need to understand that we all have to come together, and particularly in the 21st century, in getting businesses and making reservations self-functional, not depending on the federal government. We're too bright a people for that. We have all the tools. We have land and all the things that we have to do. We've got to start running our reservations like a business. We've got to come with one idea. What we're going to do. We're going to be about business, we're going to be about our culture and all those ancillary things, but our main focus is getting our people in business and taking care of ourselves. And that's what's happening to our people now. Is the Crows have a different agenda, the Assiniboines have a different agenda, the Blackfeet have a different agenda. We need one agenda. Do business, get ourselves self-sufficient. And we're capable of doing it. The other thing I'd like to see is reservations put kids through school. Take 5 kids, put them through school. Make one a lawyer, a doctor, accountant, and make them set up a program where those kids, when they come out of college, get their degrees, they got to spend 5 years on a res in a business function. And you got to make sure that they have some money to live on while they're in those 5 years, but make them function developing business for reservations. Go educate them. That's what it's about. I'd like to see NABA help with that education. I'd like to see all Native American groups help with that education. It's critical to us.
After 2 decades of decline in real standards of living in Indian country, 1970s and 80s, beginning in the early 1990s, Indian country started to take off in terms of its economic growth. The boom in economic development in Indian country, while starting from a low base, the rapid growth is coming about because of the growth of true businesses. No more is it a grants program. More and more, it's real businesses, either tribally owned or citizen owned, that are changing the face of Indian country. What's going on and what Indian country is teaching the rest of the world is that economic development in communities, the rebuilding of nations and communities, isn't about getting capital. It isn't even about education. Those are actually effects, not causes. What Indian country is teaching the world from Afghanistan to Kenya is nation building. This sums it up, what it's really all about. Is there anything different about business development in Indian country from the rest of the world? At some level, no. But doesn't it feel to each one of you, native and non-native, there's something a little bit different about being a native business owner, about doing business with native-owned businesses? Ultimately, what we're trying to do is put a new memory in the minds of our children so that they grow up seeing mom as an executive, seeing dad as an engineer, and then they grow up and rebuild their communities.